Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Lord of the Rings Revisited. Of course, these are my two co-hosts. That's Nate. That's Eric. I have to look at the monitor to check that I'm pointing at them correctly. It has been an expected journey. We are here. We have joined. We are now the Fellowship. Of course, this is Lord of the Rings Revisited, where we go through, watch, geek out, and rank every Lord of the Rings movie in chronological order. And to start it off, since this is probably going to be a long one, Eric, what is the movie we are revisiting today?
Today we will be revisiting a good one. The Lord of the Ring. The Fellowship of the Ring.
Very good. Very good. Yes. Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Rings, released in the United States 19th of December of good old 2001. Runtime of 178 minutes. That is not the extended edition, which we did watch. Budget of $93 million. Box office of 897, or roughly 898 rounding up, $million. And directed by Nate's old co-worker, Peter Jackson.
Damn, did they really put that budget to work, bro?
Oh,
because movies nowadays are like 3 times that, and they don't look as good.
Inflation, bro. Inflation.
Oats my goats.
So you said an expected journey, right? Okay, yeah, we're expected to do them all. So yeah, it makes sense.
Did I say expected? I thought I said unexpected.
No,
I
you
was
said
like,
expected.
didn't you mean to say expected?
No, but it worked. All right, don't question me, Eric.
It's all I do.
Yeah, we know. Okay, Eric, how many times have you seen Fellowship of the Ring? Did anything change rewatching it?
God, I can for sure say that this, like right off the bat, spoilers. This is my favorite Lord of the Rings movie. It may change watching them again, but I love this movie so much. I would say maybe this would maybe be my 9th time,
Oh, wow.
which is
Okay.
probably a little low for some people, but still, it's a long freaking movie.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
I just adore this movie, and it doesn't matter how long it is. It doesn't seem like it's all that long once you get into it. And yeah, it's the same magical experience every time I watch it, so I love it.
Sweet. Nate, how about you? How many times have you seen it? Anything change rewatching?
I don't know, bro. I've seen it so many times. This was a family favorite of growing up.
Oh, well.
And my family would just do marathon days, marathon weekends where we would just watch all the movies.
That's cool.
I remember as a kid, like a kid, like 7, 8, my parents were watching it in their room with the doors closed, like, no, you can't watch it. And I was just like, I just keep bothering them, exactly. Until one day they just let me sit in and I got to watch it and it was awesome. And then, it's one of the first franchises I showed to my wife after we got married. It's one of those, it's one of my favorite universes, favorite film series. So I have no idea how many times I've watched it, but it's a lot. And nothing's changed. I'm kind of with Eric. I don't know, and I haven't known if this is my favorite or The Return of the King is my favorite, but they're both up there. But this is such an excellent movie. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's dang close. It's dang close to being perfect. And it's just such an excellent film. And it's the bar, it's like the high fantasy epic that every other show and TV show has been trying to match. And I really don't think a single one has ever matched it. This film is 21 years old at this point. And there's just nothing out there that is just as magical, as comfortable, as cozy, as epic as these films. And The Fellowship really starts it off in the best way possible.
Man, that is...
I've seen the extended version more time than the not extended version.
Oh, wow.
And Kaylen was asking, like, hey, is that in the normal version? It's like, honestly, babe, I don't know. Because I haven't seen...
I was like, I don't remember what's extended and what's not.
Exactly. Yeah, I think I've only seen the theatrical cut like twice, maybe.
Whoa.
Maybe. Yeah. So it's excellent, superb film series. You know, when my family, we were so into it, is, you know, we do a marathon of all the films, and then we do a marathon of the making of DVDs as well, just because that was just as entertaining for my family as well.
That is awesome. That is such that's so cool. It brings me joy to hear you say that. No, but for me, I guess I'm gonna start where Nate started. All right. So for me, I never watched these movies growing up. I remember I was visiting my uncle one time, and he had visitors, and they were watching like one of the battles from Return of the King or something like that. And I was like, "What is that?" And he's like, "Oh, it's Lord of the Rings." That was my extension growing up to it. Then I went to Chevy's house one time. I went to go visit him in South Dakota, and they're like, "Oh, you know, maybe we should watch Lord of the Rings." I'm like, "I've never seen it." Like, what? And that's we just blasted through all three movies, not the extended, just normal theatrical cut, and it just like it was awesome. And then recently, I was showing it to Danny actually, and that was my first time watching the extended cut. This is my second time watching the extended cut, and it's just glorious, dude. Like, this is like, after watching it this time, I was like, no, this is officially one of my favorite movies of all time. It's just so good. And
not everything, bro.
But it has to be the extended cut. The theatrical cut is good. It's a very good movie, but the extended cut is just one of my favorite movies of all time. And the more, I feel like this is the same process I went through with Star Wars, where I was like, oh yeah, I like Star Wars. Star Wars is awesome. And then I got to know more of the lore, and I got really deep into like the little nitty gritty stuff, you know? And I was like, oh man, like I think I really like Star Wars. And I'm like, oh, I love Star Wars. I've gotten to the same point with Lord of the Rings, where it's like, oh yeah, I like Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings is cool. And then I was like, oh yeah, no, actually Lord of the Rings is awesome. And now I'm like, man, I think I love Lord of the Rings. So it's
so great.
It's amazing.
And this is like, again, like one of the best adaptations from the books, you know, because what this shines in that the Hobbit did not, or any of the Hobbits did not, is just cutting what doesn't need to be there for a film, and adding stuff that enhances. You know, like I tried to read the books, and in the Fellowship, there is I don't know how many freaking chapters are dedicated to Tom Bombadil. And like, he sucks, man. I don't like him. And he doesn't exist in these films, and it makes them so much better. Because like, if he was in this film, there'd be like a half hour dedicated before they even see Gandalf and Aragorn, where they're hanging out with Tom Bombadil. It totally breaks the mood. It totally breaks, you know, like, oh my god, we're trying to escape the ring race. Like, it totally breaks all of that. So I'm so glad. Dude, he is like this weird character that is somehow above everything. Like, he can mess with the ring. It's like nothing to him. It's literally like a normal ring to him. He's like, he lives in the woods. He like has control over the trees. You'll see. I'll look in more into it. But like, some of the stuff that Treebeard has is actually scenes that Tom Bombadil have that they cut and then gave to Treebeard. And like, so they're escaping, and then Tom Bombadil finds them. I think Bombadil gave them the horse too, which is a tiny scene in this, Bill. But he's just like this super magical guy. Like, he can put the ring on and he doesn't turn invisible. Like, he's just this character that is completely separate almost from the rest of the Lord of the Rings universe. That's what it feels like.
So he's almost like a Deadpool, like third person, like just can break the fourth wall all the time. Almost.
Yeah, but even Deadpool like actually affects the plot. But this guy is like, he really feels pointless. He super feels pointless because he's this. So many of us ask like, oh, why didn't they do this? Why didn't they do that? Why didn't the Eagles? He's like the worst version of that. Where it's like, this guy could literally change everything, and it's just he just doesn't do anything. Yeah. Huh. So that's an example of something that they cut that I'm so glad they did, because it's a waste of time. So some stuff that they add, and I know that there's a couple marvelous facts, magical facts we'll get into. But one thing they add is Aragorn. Aragorn in the books is like, I'm ready to be king, let's be king. He's just like this super one-dimensional cardboard cutout of a character, which for the books is fine, but he is more interesting, he's more compelling, and you what's the word I'm looking for? Sympathize with him more when he's kind of more of this.
He's conflicted right now.
He's scared. He's like,
I don't really want it.
Yeah, because like I'm gonna be the same as my ancestor. I'm gonna mess things up, and like so that's great.
I feel like and a lot of people can like relate to that as well. Like I know I can, like, oh man, like if I try to, do this thing, like let's say I try to have a child, am I going to be just like my father? Am I going to be just like my, my grandfather, whatever it is? And I feel like everybody has a version of that in their head, It's like awesome.
Like my great-great-great-grandfather was a jerk.
Another thing they add is his I honestly cannot remember in the books if he does have a relationship with Arwen. I don't know if he does. I don't think he does. Oh. But it's good that they added that, and they do a decent job of it, because again, it just gives him a little bit more man, I can't think of any words today. Just
depth?
Not depth, but like motivation. For what he's doing, why he's doing it, why he feels the way he does.
Yeah. And it makes sense why he knows like Elvish and he knows.
They don't talk about it, but in the books and in this universe too, all of the heirs of Isildur are raised by Elrond. Literally every single one. He raises them as children. Go ahead.
They bring that out that he lived with the elves.
Yeah, but it was as a child. Yeah, they don't go super into depth in this film, but in the books, like Elrond is kind of his like almost that father figure to him. But they still do a cool thing, which is honestly, I love that, because Elrond is so hardcore. He's like, this is basically my son. And it also makes sense with the story, because Isildur's line goes all the way back to Elros, which was his brother.
Yep.
So it's like Elrond has literally been watching over his brother's line for like thousands of years. So that's super cool. And then on top of that, he's like, oh, you can marry my daughter, but only if you save the world and become king of all men on in Middle Earth. Then you can marry my daughter.
No big deal.
No pressure.
No big deal.
Yeah, that's his bride price. It's
you
great.
got this.
I'm hoping you die. Another tiny fun fact that they don't talk about at all: Arwen, Elrond's daughter, is actually the granddaughter of Galadriel. Galadriel and
Celebrimbor?
No. Yeah, Galadriel's husband. It's Caladan.
I think it's Celeborn, dude. Let me see.
It could be that. They have a daughter, and that daughter marries Elrond, and then they have their another daughter, which is Arwen, who then marries them.
Yep, Celeborn.
Yeah, Celeborn. Yeah.
Crazy family tree.
I know, dude. It's very intermingled, which is very cool, very cool. And then another thing, it doesn't end, like you were saying. The light that Galadriel gives to Frodo, the light of Erendil, is the light of Elrond's father. So Aragorn's. It's weird. It's both his super great grandfather and also his great uncle. Not even. His great uncle as well. I don't know. It's weird. It's both his great grandfather and his super duper great grandfather. It's cool.
Speaking of that, like when she's giving them all the gifts and everything, I was like, and then she like gives him the light and everything. I'm like, oh, like I felt like this was the time watching where like I'm understanding everything now. And even when we get to the part where Gandalf is facing up against the Balrog, that was the first time too where he says a whole bunch of stuff, and I was like, I get everything he just said.
Even before, when Sauron's like, are you going to go down to Moria where you're going to fight a Balrog of Morgoth? Because Balrogs are technically the same kind of spirit as Gandalf, as Saruman, as Sauron. They're Maiar. So it's like, that is a big deal. He's basically fighting somebody that's on his power level. And
not if you're on a bridge.
Even if you're on a bridge.
All right. Let's get into ranking
so much good
importance.
Stuff here,
what do you guys think? Importantes. I think this isn't even a question, man. Like, come
Nope.
on, this goes number one. Are you kidding?
Oh, dude,
Most important.
it's freaking huge, dude. It really, I mean, if you're coming in fresh and you're watching it starting at The Hobbit and now you get here, it really like shows us, oh, like what Sauron's about, why he was such a big deal in The Hobbit, what the ring is about, why the ring is such a big deal. And it's like, it introduces us to Aragorn. It introduces us to well, I guess it doesn't introduce us to the ring wraiths. And I guess technically it doesn't introduce us to Aragorn either because they mention him and it still introduces us. But it shows us so much. And yeah, I mean, it shows us, where Galadriel's from. It gives us more in depth on Elrond and Arwen. It shows us all of these hobbits. I guess we saw Frodo in The Hobbit, but it really tells us more about Frodo and Samwise and Pippin and Merry. And
Cool.
Gimli.
So we're all in agreement. This goes number one on importance.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And Boromir, and we get to see Minas
Boromir,
Tirith for a second.
Yep.
Yep.
By the way, since we're talking about Boromir, I was thinking, like, his death is kind of on him in a sense. He went going after Frodo to be like, hey, like,
No,
I'm gonna act like I'm picking up these logs, but
No.
I'm gonna try to get the ring.
No.
No, you don't think that's the
No.
way?
I
That's
think
what
he
happened.
did want the ring from him. That is, but I think he was genuinely out getting wood, and then Frodo left because he didn't. Well, he wanted to be alone, or he wanted to leave, and then they just happened to see each other. I really don't think because Boromir, he's a good guy. They don't talk about it, but in the books, they barely hint at it. Boromir talks about this dream that he had. He has this dream of the world of men falling and all this stuff, and he keeps having this dream. And it's heavily alluded to in the books that it's one of the Valar that is making him have this dream because they want him to go talk to Elrond. So he keeps having this dream. He's like, I'm going to go talk to Elrond because everybody in the world knows Elrond is one of the most wise people on the planet at this point. And that's why he's there. He's not there because he was called by the council. He's there because he wanted to talk to Elrond about his dream.
Interesting.
But yes, he absolutely is a man, and he is corruptible, and he is misguided. He thinks the ring can be manipulated, which it can't be.
Yeah.
So I absolutely think when he does try to take the ring, it's just a moment of weakness, because he's literally thinking of this dream of Gondor being destroyed, of the world of men falling, and he, in his mind, is like, we're doing all this stuff when it's like, just let me try, let me try with the ring. And let's see what happens, because he doesn't understand. Because it's been thousands of years since all that crazy stuff with Sauron and the ring happened. So men are not gonna have any kind of context with how corrupting it is.
Yep. But what I was getting to is that if he would have had his shield with him, I think he would have been fine or lasted at least a lot longer. Because those
Probably
arrows
would've been
probably.
fine, yeah. Because Aragorn was like right there.
Which
we go ahead.
Like, it took him a long time to get to him. He's like, "Oh right, oh that's the horn," and then like a whole bunch of stuff happens, and it's like,
Bro, did you see?
And it's like, dude,
all the freaking Urukai?
Oh yeah.
There's so many. Thinking of it from a more practical standpoint, it's like, how are 4 people gonna survive like hundreds of Urukai?
Yeah.
Did you see how nonchalant Aragorn was about like
fighting all those guys?
Yep. He's just like, run, and then he just turns around. And it's like
100 of them.
Gosh. And he's just like, all right, let's go.
And it's so great. He fights a bunch of them, and then he goes up the stairs making a choke point. It's so great.
Oh, and then a fact I didn't have in here, that scene where one of the orcs or something throws a knife at him, and he just
Hold on. Okay, go ahead.
That was improv, and it was the first take. I was like, dang.
I don't even know.
Amazing.
I don't think he was supposed to hit it. He was supposed to dodge it.
Yep.
But he just decided to whack it, and he nails it. Dude, that
so
fight,
good.
That's really the main fight. There's a couple, but that is kind of the main, biggest end cap fight, and it's just great, dude. It's so great. Yeah, you can definitely feel. One of the reasons why I like this more is just it feels more real. Feels more visceral. It feels more gritty than anything we got in The Hobbit. And it's great. It just holds so much weight. There's still those fantastical elements, of like Aragorn tussling with one Urukai, and then Legolas shoots like 7 of them around him.
Yeah, right. But he was ahead of that what is that called? The group?
The Fellowship.
No. That
No, the
Urukai
Order.
was the head.
Oh yeah, he's
of-
the best one.
Yeah.
Lurtz.
Let's introduce magical facts.
Dude, we should just. I don't even know how we were gonna go. There's so many.
I know,
Like, there's
I
a
know.
couple
Yeah.
that we could have already talked about.
Introducing our first magical facts. Ah!
During Boromir's death scene, a choir can be heard on the soundtrack singing in Elvish. The translation of the lyrics is taken from the books. I do not love the sword for its sharpness, nor the arrows for its swiftness, nor the warrior for his glory. I only love for what they can defend. Just chef's kiss,
Yeah,
like,
dude.
holy crap, that's
Yeah,
amazing.
dude. Another cool little hint that I just noticed for the first time because of the subtitles is, the I don't know if it's the main Elvish language, but the most common one is Quenya, and that's the one that they're talking all the time.
I wonder if it's the
when-
same one I'm thinking of.
Gandalf is on the passive Karahadress. He's speaking Sindar, which is the other main Elvish language, which I thought was really cool.
He's
It's like,
speaking
he
Sindar,
knows
but then
both. Or Sindarin.
Sindarin, yeah, that's right. And then
Saruman.
Saruman is speaking Quenya, right? Quenya?
Yeah, I can't remember, but it's cool.
Yeah, they're speaking the two different Elvish languages.
Go-offs.
Dude, another thing that I like about these films over the Hobbits is Gimli. We get really a time with one dwarf and Gimli, and you can definitely see where Gimli inspires all the dwarves that we see in the Hobbit. Like, a lot of them share a lot of the same stylistic cues, but he looks real. Whereas when you look at so much of these other dwarves, like, their hair is just too perfect, it's too producty, and like they're just too fantastical. They're so larger than life. Whereas Gimli, just like that, is a dwarf. Like, if I believe that
Got
that's
out
a
of
dwarf.
bed.
Yeah, exactly. And when he takes his helmet off, you look at his hair, it's like he has several haircuts. Like, when he just takes his helmet off, it's like all matted down. Then when he's had his helmet off for a while, it's a little bit nicer instead of just that super manicured look that all the other dwarves have in The Hobbit.
Very true. Yeah. And another magical fact.
Another magical fact.
The actor who plays Gimli suffered from a reaction to his prosthetics, usually inflammation around his eyes. That meant that he could never be filmed on consecutive days, and would always require at least a day off for his skin to return to normal. He was never anything less than 3 hours in the makeup chair. Poor guy. He suffered through that for 3 movies.
Dude. Well,
That's
they
years.
filmed it all back to back,
Yeah.
which is good, but still, I don't come up with a different makeup. Like,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah.
I feel really bad for that guy.
I'm
Yeah,
sure they
and-
try different things.
In the making of, that he just talks about, like, it would just swell up in my face, and it's like, you can kind of tell in some of the scenes where he looks a little, but it fits because he's a dwarf and they're supposed to look all puffy.
Yep.
That being said, I think that's one thing that the Rings of Power nails. Like, the dwarves and the Rings of Power, I think, are the perfect just evolution of Gimli, where it's like these are more uppity, more rich, more affluent, and then also this is a newer, more modern project, and it's like, yes, like, this is how I wish the dwarves would have. Like, Durin looks great.
Very
I
true.
do like.
And so should we? Did we make a list for the dwarves? I forgot.
Oh, yeah,
I
he's
think
not.
we did.
Well,
Since we're talking about dwarves at the moment, this is the first time I actually put 2 and 2 together and like actually realized who the dwarf king is for Moria. Is Balin.
Well, it's not the king.
no, he's not the king.
Well,
He was
Right.
just there.
okay. Well,
Yeah, it's the old
one
guy.
in the crypt.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
the old guy.
No, it's I thought that was Dwalin.
No,
Oh, that's the dope brother with
Yeah, I
the
know,
bald that has
Dwalin,
the
right?
tattoos.
Yeah, but the one holding the book, I think, is Dwalin.
he's the
Really?
one with the bowl cut. I forgot his name, but that's him.
Oh, really?
Balin?
Let me look it up real quick.
Balin
Balin?
is the old guy who's cool and nice
Yes,
and
Balin
smart
is
I thought that-
he's in the
the coffin.
in the coffin, but next
Yeah.
to him there's a guy
Oh,
with a book. That's
Yeah,
one of the
Balin
dwarves
is-
from Hobbit too.
Balin, I thought, was the big bald one.
You're thinking of Dwalin, his brother.
Right.
They're brothers.
Looked it up.
I looked it up during the movie, bro.
How dare you?
And I just love freaking Gimli's reaction to. And I will say, the Hobbits do a good job of like adding depth to the Lord of the Rings. You know, because it's like when you know Gimli is Gloin's son, and you know that Balin is who he was in the books, and you know it just adds to, man, like that really stinks for Gimli.
Oh wow. Okay. Okay, you're right. I thought it was Dwalin, but that's still messed up.
Oh, absolutely. I liked Balin. It was like Balin. Maybe in the books, I think Balin was my favorite because he's the voice of reason among the dwarves.
Yep.
Yeah, he was definitely like the smarter one.
Yeah, just the less emotional one. And yeah, so it was sad to see him go.
It makes me want to watch extended cuts for the Hobbit movies.
I'm good.
I'm good.
Dude, that's one thing, bro.
Lord of the Rings is always going to win it over. I want to see that extra stuff that was put in.
I don't know, bro, because like, if I felt like the normal cut is a slog, I can't imagine what the extended cut was going to feel like. And then I watched the extended cut of The Fellowship, and it's like, this is perfect. Like, nothing feels rushed. Nothing feels useless. Nothing feels like it's taking too long. It's just like a master stroke.
Yep. No, well, that's like another thing that when I first watched the extended cut, there was so many scenes. I was like, how is this not in the original? It's so good. And there's like some really important lore things that happen in the extended cut. I'm like, this is crazy that it wasn't in the extended cut. But let's rank the Hobbits for sure. We have to rank the Hobbits.
And see, now it gets tough. So we only have Bilbo up there right now, right? Or Bilbo and Frodo.
And Bilbo's the only one now.
So does Sam take over already? That's the question. Is he already number one? You don't think he's done enough?
Yeah, I don't think so.
I think he's definitely put in some work, dude.
I'm very like protective of Sam too, because Sam is my favorite Hobbit, and I think he is the hero of like.
Oh, he is.
But I don't think he's there yet.
At least the foundation is being laid. I mean, already you get the obvious scenes of just his loyalty to Frodo. But then even when the
drowning for your friend,
but even when the cave troll shows up and he's in there like ready to fight, ready to go, he's great.
Man, that freaking we talk about annoying characters, man.
Pippin.
Yep.
He's not that bad.
Full of it.
Should we just do that soon? Like most annoying character.
Yeah, let's talk about it now. Yeah, sure, why not?
Because I went through it. I love Pippin as well, but he might be the one in this movie.
Oh yeah.
Just stupid character.
Right? Like who else?
Yeah,
I mean, Gimli has his moments, but he's not as bad as Pippin.
Just Pippin saying Baggins. The name of Frodo.
That makes sense because, at least in the context of the film, because Frodo doesn't really explain anything to Merry and Pippin.
Sure.
Yeah, but I mean,
so that kind of makes sense where it's like Frodo didn't really say why he's being the way he is, and then he's drinking a little bit, he's just hanging out with people. That kind of makes sense. But it's more just like the dropping the bucket. Or go ahead, Eric. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was and then the dropping the bucket. It was pretty much those two things. I'm just like, oh man, Pippin. I could see myself being Pippin. I feel bad for him. Just like, oh, whoops, I just let that slip. I wasn't supposed to. Maybe I should stop drinking pints.
Baggins, of course.
Pints?
I don't know.
Frodo.
I don't think Frodo does anything to get over Sam. Pippin doesn't do anything to get over Sam, and Merry does some good stuff, but I don't know if he does anything to go over Sam either.
I don't know. I think in this one, this is Frodo's best movie.
Yeah.
So it's all
least corrupted Frodo. Yeah.
Yep. And I think from here on, like especially once we get into Return of the King, there's a huge argument to be made that he is the annoying character in Return of the King.
No, dude, Gollum.
Maybe.
No.
We'll see when we get there. We'll see when we get there.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay, but
Hope the
you're
hate
telling me
breaks
we're
there.
gonna put Frodo over Sam?
Yeah.
In
I
this
would
one,
say
yeah. For this
what?
movie, dude,
He says
his
he will
only-
take the ring, man.
Yeah.
That's it though. I guess that is a big deal. But like that's his only moment is when he stands up and says, "I'll do it."
Well, dude, already he's like, man, I don't want to do this. And then he still does it because he's like, yeah, I know it's the right thing. I'll do it for Gandalf. I'll do it for all of Middle Earth because I know I need to do it. And because Bilbo put me in this situation, really, you know? And then even after that, he's all like, everyone's
But
arguing.
Bilbo didn't really put him in that situation. Bilbo didn't know better.
No, he didn't.
Sure, but it's because of the actions of Bilbo that he has to take care of the
but
ring
that's
now.
not his fault. Like you can't blame Bilbo for that.
I can, but
It's like this. Like Bilbo bought bleach to clean his counters, and then Frodo drank it. Is that Bilbo's fault?
sure. Okay, I get what you're saying.
If it was anybody's fault, I feel like it would be Gandalf's.
It's Gandalf's.
Yeah.
Because Gandalf knew about the ring. He assumes it's a dwarven ring.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I get, but
Never
like,
assume.
it's a ring of power, bro. Like, I mean, maybe just double check.
Yeah.
Not because like, oh, it might be the ring of power, but just because you don't know what this ring of power can do. So just double check just to see. So I agree. If anything, it's Gandalf, and then Gandalf makes Bilbo leave it, which is obviously the right thing to do, and then Gandalf makes Frodo take it. So if anything, I'd put it definitely more at the feet of Gandalf, because Gandalf is also the only one that is equipped to know better as well.
Yes, I should have known better.
True. That's true. But still, Frodo like puts everything like on the sidelines.
Okay. The thing is, like, yes, so there's a ton of self-sacrificing, and
Yeah.
I do like his character, and he's great, but there's just nothing really heroic about him at all, which is, I think, why.
Okay. But honestly, at this point, if I was just walking into this movie fresh, I've never seen any other Lord of the Rings other than the Hobbits. I'd be like, man, Samwise is like kind of going overboard. You know, it's like Frodo, yeah, he's doing what he like his duty kind of thing. But when like Sam is going out in the water and like, no, I'm gonna come with you. It's like, why? Like, he wants to go alone. Like, what? Why are you doing this? You know?
Terrible friend, Wynnston. You would let me just go on this dangerous mission by myself?
He
What you want,
insisted.
Nate?
He insisted.
Dude, even if I insisted, like Wynnston, like seriously, that's messed up, bro. This is like you're gonna die. This isn't just like, oh, he's going to the store by himself. He insisted. Like he's literally going on a mission that will kill him.
I'm going
Like,
to Walmart after
That's
8
what
o'clock.
yeah, that's what everybody's thinking. And you're just like, yep, sorry, bro. You know, you're 20 feet away on the river. I guess I'll just leave you.
Okay, then I'll just swim in, even though you're super far away, and I'll just die. I'll just die trying to get to you. How's that helpful?
Listen, I can understand that yes, that was dumb, but the reasons for it and the feeling for it is not. The
Sure.
sentiment is not. The
Oh, yeah.
principle
Yeah.
is not.
Yeah.
And it's like, what else? That's how desperate he is. Like, what else is he going to do? Like, he cannot let his friend just go by himself. Like, he can't do it. Like, that's not an option in his mind. So what option does he have?
Yeah, I know.
Like, maybe get another boat. Yeah, but you know, he's not thinking in the moment. Speaking of that, let's go over a marvelous fact.
No, hold on. First, we have to rank the most annoying. So,
Pippin.
where are we ranking Pippin though? We have Unibrow at number 1 and Radagast at number 2.
3.
Yeah.
Okay,
Because
fine with
Pippin's
that.
still
I'm fine.
helpful.
Yeah,
Like, he's
yeah.
still nice.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like every time we see him, he's annoying. He just like does some super boneheaded stuff.
Yeah. True. Yeah. All right. Agreed.
Although Eric, please.
Magical facts.
Although in the movie it seems to be only a few weeks or so, in the original book, the time between Gandalf departing after Bilbo's party, his visit to a stone city in Gondor looking for information about the ring, and his return to Frodo in his home at night spans about 17 years in the book. 17 years he's gone, which makes sense. They're very far away. They're like across Middle Earth. It's like
I was gonna say
walking.
like 6 months.
No, dude. It's like, yeah. And then on top of that, Gandalf even says, I tried to find Gollum. So it's like, yeah, like when did you have time to do that in 2 weeks? Like how hard did you look? This is shortened in this film to a few weeks at most, although it was kept in the animation version of The Lord of the Rings. Likewise, while Frodo leaves the Shire with the ring the same night that Gandalf visits him, in the novels he takes several weeks or even months to sell his house and lands and move to another area as a way of explaining his departure from the Shire. Not revealed in the movie, the stone city visited by Gandalf is none other than Minas Tirith. And I wanted to expound on that. So in the films, and it makes sense, they really cut down Isildur and like he's just a corrupted idiot that didn't listen to Elrond. In the books, he's not like that at all.
Ooh,
he is a very wise, very humble, very kind king and man. So much so that his father creates the kingdom of men. His father then dies, and Isildur is the oldest. But instead of just taking all of it, he has a brother. Instead of taking it all over, he makes the kingdom of Gondor and Arnor, which is up the north.
Arnor.
Arnor, yeah, he gives that kingdom to his brother so that they can both rule because he's that generous. Wow. Then the whole battle happens. The father dies, and in the books, Elrond does say like, "Hey, we should go destroy that in Mount Doom," but that's it. He's not like they don't walk into Mount Doom and then he's like, "No, it's mine." They're literally just they finish the battle, which is just outside of Mordor, and then he says like, "Hey, we should go destroy that."
Nah, I'm good.
Because at this point, nobody knows just how corrupting the ring is. They know it's bad. They know it's evil, which is why Elrond is like, "Hey, we should just destroy that to be safe." And then Isildur is like, "I'm not going to do that. Let me just see if I can use it for good," because nobody knows at this point. And then he takes it and he does like tests and he does studies. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is Gandalf goes to Minas Tirith and reads Isildur's notes on the ring. The scrolls that he's reading are directly from Isildur. So those scrolls and those codexes are 1,000, like 100, like super old.
3,000, I believe.
Yeah. And then after that, Isildur's like, "No, this thing's evil. I can't control it. Let me go to Elrond, bring it to Elrond so we can figure out what to do." And that's when the orcs ambush him and he dies. And then the ring gets lost.
Come on. That would have been dope.
There's just no time. Dude, there's no time to explain all of that backstory.
But like that.
And then that also undercuts Aragorn as well. Because yes, technically Aragorn could still have the fear of like not being strong enough like his Isildur was. But then when you make Isildur more of just a corrupted man, then it's like, okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah,
because in theory it is the same fear, but when Isildur is more evil, it makes more sense.
Yeah. Okay. See, my thing is that with your description of Isildur, I was like, okay, I can see where the character from the Rings of Power, how that character could go, you know? But like as of now, as of right, like I guess there's an episode dropping tonight, but as of this moment of where we are in the series, I could put those parallels of like, okay, Isildur in the Rings of Power, kind of dumb, you know? He's kind of rash, you know? And then I saw him in this and I was like, yeah, adds up, you know? I can buy it. But it would be so much more powering seeing that transition of the character and to get to that moment where he is a generous, kind, and wise person until he makes mistakes. Like that would be cool too.
Yeah, I'm kind of getting the vibe that that's the route the Rings of Power are going, and I'm very excited because, as you say, like I definitely think that version, the book version of Isildur, is way more interesting than the two-dimensional version we get in this, which again makes sense.
Yeah.
We were also talking about the scene where Sam drowns himself, and we have a fact that we'd like to share, Eric.
A magical fact for you.
When Frodo is leaving everyone behind at the River Anduin to take up the quest on his own, which apparently Wynnston thinks is totally okay, divers went into the water to make sure it would be free of any sharp objects or debris for Sean Astin to run into when Sam goes chasing after him. Which, shout out, I said this to Kaylen. Sam, Frodo, is Mary, is he English or is he also American, that actor? I think he is English.
No, I think he's Scottish, isn't he?
Mary. Anyway, but he's not American. But Elijah Wood and Sean Astin are American. And shout outs to their fantasy English accents. Like, it's super cool. Like, how many Americans could you? I love it.
Yeah.
It's great. Anyway, although they gave the okay, Sean ended up stepping onto a piece of glass that completely pierced his foot from bottom to top, requiring a helicopter to transport him to the nearest hospital and receive several stitches. This slowed down production for weeks, if I'm not mistaken, because he couldn't walk on it.
A sign that, that was the wrong choice, I'm just saying, if I am like, hey, I can't trust nobody, I'm going to go do what I have to do. Nobody follow me. And Nate is like, hey, bro, I'm coming with you. I'm like, no, you're not. And he's like, I'm coming with you. I'm like, no, you're not. And then you start drowning.
Like knocking him out of the boat or something?
And Nate starts drowning. I'll be like, God dang it. I have to go pick up Nate so he doesn't die because he's trying to go after me. Ugh.
And I'm correct.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because if it wasn't for Sam, he would never have made it to Mountain Dew. For sure.
I wanted to say, Eric said, he feels like Sam is the hero of the story. That is 100% correct.
Mm-hmm.
Tolkien himself says that he felt like Samwise is the main hero, and it's not Frodo. And you can absolutely see the hero's journey in his arc, the call to action and everything else that happens.
Yep.
And then on top of that, Tolkien also said, if he saw himself in anybody in the story, it would be Sam.
Interesting.
Which a small criticism to that is that Tolkien was like rich even before the books. And Sam isn't. Sam is a humble gardener. So it's like, how nice of you to view yourself as this noble,
humble, rich gardener.
Yeah, exactly.
More of a hobby.
Exactly. I picked up gardening after I became rich.
Yeah. Money's a trifling thing.
What about the
Get
villain?
another list going.
What villain are we gonna do?
Yeah, so we have Lurtz. We have one of the ring wraiths, or the ring wraiths in general.
I say Saruman.
Saruman
is a villain.
I think this is the movie where he's the biggest villain as well.
I don't know, man. Like, if you say what sticks with me more is definitely the ring wraiths.
Really, but dude, later they like become more of the main enemy.
I know. I know, but like, I think they kill it in this. Like, if you ask me who, I don't know who did the most damage, but it's like, who's the scariest, who's the most imposing? I think it's definitely. I mean, there's absolutely an argument for Saruman, and I'm not going to be.
The betrayal level is just like so.
Yeah, dude. That really sunk into me in this one, where it's like, damn, Saruman knows everything about everybody.
Yep.
Like, he knows everything about Gandalf. He knows everything about the elves. He knows how they think. He knows what they're going to do. So his betrayal is like a huge blow to the side of good, where it's like, it comes to the point where it's like, if Saruman had stayed on the side of good, they may have like rolled Sauron.
Oh yeah,
because that's how much he brought to the table. But because he turned to the bad, it's like, dang, we actually could lose this now.
Yeah. And it's crazy though. It's like, all right, think about, that guy and how educated he is and everything. And he completely to his core believes that there is no stopping Sauron. The forces are overwhelming.
It's interesting because he says that, but at the same time, he's doing schemes to undercut Sauron so he can take over. So I think it's a mix of both. I think it is a mix of, we can't win, the good side can't win, and also like, maybe this is my opportunity to take over.
That could be.
I think it's very interesting that the most powerful characters in the Tolkien universe are the ones that fall to the dark side. Morgoth is the most powerful Valar. Like, literally, he 1v1s every other Valar and barely loses. Like 7-10 on 1. So he's the strongest by a long shot, and he becomes bad. Sauron is the most powerful Maiar by a long shot. He 1v1s like everybody in Middle Earth and almost wins several times. And then Saruman is the second strongest Maiar, and he also falls to the dark side. So I think that's very interesting.
All right,
and we get. Go ahead.
I see what you're saying with the Witch Kings, with the Nazgul, and I like Nazgul are one of my favorite things about Lord of the Rings. Period. Like, they're super cool. Their design, like their screech. Oh my god, haunting.
Oh, also shout out. Hold up to Aragorn. Yes, Saruman and Elrond 2, and I guess kind of Galadriel fight all 9 of the Nazgul, but they barely win. Aragorn 1v1s 5 of them, and he literally scares them away.
They didn't have a torch. Apparently, a torch can make or break you.
Dude, they were running away before the torch, bro. I think
that is true. There was only one that stood there, and he's all like, "Okay."
That's just how legit Aragorn is. He 1v1s like 5 of them, and he's a human. Dope.
But yeah, I think for this movie, it's Saruman. Saruman is the villain of
it's fine. He's definitely the most well-rounded because he does have an element of imposing. He's definitely the smartest and the most scheming. I think he definitely has the biggest impact. You know, like he imprisons Gandalf, really messes with their plans, sends out minions that end up killing Boromir, breaking up the Fellowship. So yeah, you're correct.
Which, by the way, if Gandalf ever says, "Hey, meet me here," his track record is not very good. Don't believe him.
Take your time.
Like a month after you want to
exactly.
right?
You have to go by Mexican time.
There you go.
All right.
By the way, Wynnston's allowed to say that he's Mexican. His last name's Corona. He's allowed to say that. I know it doesn't look like it, but it's okay.
So I'm just like, just smile and wave.
What was I gonna say? If we're talking about villains, I know he's not a villain, but the Balrog. I don't get it, dude. This is a 21-year-old film, and that Balrog looks flawless, dude. That's we should get into CG now. You know, Saruman's at the top.
Hold on. Smog is number 1. Azog the Defiler number 2.
Okay, he's below Smog. He's below Smog. He's no Smog.
What do you think, Eric? Does he go under or above Smog?
Yeah, Smog is
so cool, bro.
Well, even Saruman couldn't take on Smog.
I mean, if we're talking about power levels, he's not there, but even just cool.
Yeah.
No,
cool
yeah.
Factor.
It's a dragon, man. It's a dragon.
Dragon.
Okay. Cumberbund.
Okay, so that's making Saruman number 2 on the villain list.
I think. Okay, go ahead. Let's talk about CG.
Dude, okay.
It has its moments.
Yes. But dude, at the very beginning, when they have that, when there's, you know, the flashback scene when Sauron just wipes the floor with everybody, the main stuff looks good, but the stuff that they had to put in the background, eesh, like it's dated. It doesn't look terrible, but it's
not
dated.
Unwatchable. Yeah. It definitely doesn't look like it's from 2001.
That's for sure.
I was talking to Ken, like it looks better than The Incredible Hulk, which came out 5-6 years after.
Oh yeah.
You know?
I have a big problem with the cave troll.
Really?
Yeah.
Like, what's wrong? What don't you like about him?
It just looks out of place to me. Like,
I do get that. You know, it's unfortunate. You know, the CG model isn't quite perfect, but
it's not horrible.
It's really good.
I'm not saying it's
so dynamic, you know, like it doesn't look perfect, but just the facial animations, the way he moves around, like it looks great. The way he slaps people around looks great.
It's just a little off. It doesn't.
It is. No,
it is a little off. Yeah.
It feels like, you know, a CG model, and there is that. Even with Sauron, like the animation's iffy. You know, when he's swinging people and then the way that they fly away, like that's not right. It's iffy. What else do we got? What else do we got that looks weird?
Looks weird.
You know, even Moria kind of looks super, like it doesn't look real. You know, once they're in there with all the pillars.
But with that thought, parallel to that thought, a little side note is seeing this, and then now like with the Rings of Power right here too, dude, they do such a good job making that like total like haunted, empty feel, making it feel alive. And you're like, when you're watching the show, you're like, I think they were in that part in the movie, you know? And it's like, whoa, it looks completely different, yet the same at the same time. It's amazing.
Did a really good job. One thing, dude, that this freaking film excels at, and why it's so night and day compared to the Hobbits, is the use of miniatures. There are so many shots where it's like, that's a miniature and it looks great. That's a miniature and it looks great. That's a miniature and it looks great. And it really elevates the scene.
I mean, that's why they do it in Star Wars to this day. I mean, when you mix CG and practical effects, it just makes it so much better. Like, if we didn't have puppets still in Star Wars, it wouldn't be the same. But they go out of their way to make those prosthetics, to
Yeah.
those droids, to make those certain things
Grogu.
real, tangible, and it just adds so much to like the CG
It's just
effects. Because sometimes you can't tell
Mhm.
because you have those fantastical like
what happened, dude? You're like totally
Yes.
muted for some reason.
Yeah, you were cutting off for a little bit there.
You
so.
should stay close to your mic.
and that's why. That's why.
Yeah, dude, it's amazing. And like I wanted to say that I was thinking it during the film. It's like, yes, you get those awkward shots, but then literally the next shot is like a perfect set that looks lived in, that adds to the world. And then there's another awkward shot, and then it's an unbelievable landscape shot where it's like, oh my god, this is so beautiful. What an epic world. It looks fantastical. And it's like, it's missing from The Hobbit, man.
Oh yeah.
It's missing because it goes from awkward shot to mind-blowing shot. And then The Hobbit just has not quite perfect CG just across the board. And it sucks.
And like, I think one of the best things that this movie does is that they're like, hey, yeah, when we try to do CG, we're going to do our best. But honestly, we're going to do the most we can practical. And it's like, if this was The Hobbit, the Nazgul for sure would be CGI. And they
Because they were.
nail them. They are amazing, you know? They look fantastic.
When we do get to see the Nazgul and the Hobbits, they're more undead at that point.
True.
I feel like so more
Wraithy.
more
More
yeah.
wraithy. Yep. And by the way, like this time when he puts the ring on for the second time and he sees all the Nazgul and everything, like this time I could actually point out like, wait, I think that one's the Numenorian king. That one's probably the king of Gondor. Like because their crowns are all different. There's so much detail in it. And it's really, really cool. Anyways, let's rank CGI. Number one, we have
number one easy.
Desolation.
It's, it's just too easy. I know Smaug looks amazing, but like the Balrog looks freaking awesome. And just like the miniatures, it's like, it's just so enjoyable to look at.
Especially made in 2001.
Dude, and it's peppered throughout the entire film.
Fireworks.
Yeah, the fireworks are
there.
enjoyable, and like even the Kraken character. It's like at moments it looks awkward, but they're smart. There's like, we're gonna do it at night. There's gonna be one light source on top, so it doesn't look that bad.
Yep.
You know, like, and even your cave troll. Like, I understand what you're saying, but I still think it looks really good. You know. And then, dude, I know we were saying that like the orcs in the Rings of Power look amazing, which they do, but like, dude, still the orcs in this film look better. They still look better. The orcs and the Uruk-hai, like the goblins in Moria, like they just look better. Like it just feels like they spent even more time making every single one look and feel just a little bit different. Whereas the ones that we see in the Ring of Power, they look amazing, but still they kind of feel like just a slightly different version of the same thing. And it's just awesome.
Interesting. Since we were talking about villains, here is a magical fact for you.
A magical fact for you.
The appearances of Sauron as either a person or as the massive eye on top of the Tower of Baradur were largely inventions of the movie. Baradur. Thank you. Yes, not Baradur. Baradur. Sauron never appears directly in the Lord of the Rings novels, and as most of his dealings occur indirectly via his underlings, descriptions of what he looks like remain very vague. At one point, Gollum, who was tortured by Sauron, mentions that he has 4 fingers and a black hand, suggesting that he has a physical body. In the Silmarillion, Sauron is described as a shape changer who has appeared as various animals over the ages, and once even with fair elvish features. But author J.R.R. Tolkien describes his final years as a man of more than human stature, an image of malice and hatred made visible, who apparently gave off intense heat and had dreadful presence and daunting eyes.
Don't forget body odor.
What was that?
I said, don't forget body odor.
Yeah. Sauron's depiction as a heavy armored-clad giant in the movie's prologue was mostly based on the descriptions of Morgoth, the first Dark Lord of Middle-earth, and Sauron's former superior, who was defeated at the end of the First Age. The movie's Eye on the Tower may have been inspired by Tolkien's many references to the Eye of Sauron, although many have interpreted this metaphorically as Sauron's watchful presence rather than a physical manifestation. Sir Peter Jackson later admitted that he may have misread this particular element.
Which I think is fine.
Yeah, but I'm like, that would have been cool to like, well, before I say anything about that, Nate, I got to call you out. Adar. Pretty sure that's Sauron, dude.
Dude, we saw him. That is not Sauron, bro.
You don't think that's Sauron?
Dude, there's no way. Dude, when they introduce Sauron, dude, it's going to be a OMFG moment. It's not just going to be like, there he is.
Well,
it's going to be...
So he's just some random elf?
No, yeah, well, kind of. There's a couple theories because nobody knows yet. One, he could just be one of the original orcs that Morgoth tortured, and because Adar means father. So
that would actually be really cool.
Could literally be the father of these orcs, one, or just a forefather of these orcs, one of the original orcs. Two, there's a story in the Tolkien verse about an elf that just only liked darkness. And he wasn't necessarily evil, but he only ever wanted to be in darkness. And then he kidnapped an elf, another elf, they did fall in love, they had a child, but then he would only keep them in darkness, so then they escaped. They went back to her family. I think his name is Eol, E-O-L. So then he goes and he captures them, and I can't remember what happens, but he does bad stuff, and then they push Eol off a cliff as his execution. And that's the last time. In the books, and then he dies. But they could very easily turn that into, oh no, he survived and either defected to Sauron or was captured by Sauron and then turned into this. That guy is not Sauron, bro. Okay. It is not cool enough, bro.
It's not
if that
cool
guy
enough.
is Sauron, right. I'm going to be pissed. And it's not, dude, when Sauron shows up, it is going to be like, oh my God, that, like, either, oh, here he is, like, freak out, he's here, or it's like, oh my God, that guy was Sauron the whole time. It's going to be something huge. It's not just going to be, here he is.
It's the little kid, confirmed. He's Sauron.
There's theories that little kid could be one of the Nazgul.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Which I'm okay with.
Yep. Do you want to do one of them magical facts, Nate?
There's a couple topics that we kind of blew through when we were talking about Boromir's death and how he brought on himself. The climax of or Eric, please.
Magical fact for you.
This has to be a record for the most, bro, facts, period.
Really?
Just in any of our podcasts.
I don't know about that.
I don't know, man. The climax of the movie actually intercuts the last chapter of the first book. The last chapter of the first book, The Fellowship of the Ring, Boromir trying to take the ring from Frodo, and then Frodo's decision to leave the Fellowship, with the first chapter of the second book, The Two Towers, which shows Boromir's death and funeral, Merry and Pippin's capture, and Aragorn, Gimli, and Legolas beginning their pursuit of the orcs. Which, again, they change it up from the books, and it's so much better. It gives us that climax, and then it gives us that, like, wanting for more, because Boromir died and all that. And, such a great death. It's freaking amazing. Goes down like a champ.
Should we go to best death scene now?
Oh, it's him.
Ooh.
Easy. I mean, Gandalf has a solid one, but
I don't know.
Go ahead.
The way that the main Uruk-hai dies is pretty. Yeah. And
I don't know, dude. Like, Boromir has such an awesome redemption that it's like one of my favorite redemptions. It's literally his redemption is why he's one of my like top 5 in Lord of the Rings. Just another shout out, dude. Like, I just love every character in these films, man.
Yeah.
You love Sam, you love Aragorn, you love Legolas, and then that's like just base level. Like you just love those guys. But then if and then we have different things for different people. You like Elrond because of this. You like Gandalf is another one I missed. Everybody likes Gandalf. And then you like Boromir because of that. Maybe you like Frodo because of this. You like Merry, you like Pippin. Like every character is just so well done that it's awesome.
Yep. Yeah, I think it's probably him because it's also incredibly impactful too. Like so important to the story,
Yeah, it breaks up the Fellowship.
Mm-hmm.
It's very impactful getting shot with 3 arrows.
Oh yeah.
It's 3 impacts, some would say. Champion.
Almost a fork to the head.
So would we put him above Smaug or under Smaug for best
He's
death?
above Smaug. Smaug has a great death, but it doesn't really hold much weight. It really doesn't. The way that they did it.
You're just setting the scope so much. Like, I would say that it would be more weight, a dragon falling from the sky.
It would be. Several thousand tons or couple tons. I don't know.
A couple 100 tons. Yeah. No. All right. Cool. Let's do another magical fact.
Another magical fact.
So when Boromir's body has been placed in a boat to go over the falls of Rauros, I think that's how you say that, we cut to Aragorn strapping Boromir's vambrace, what I'd actually never noticed before, which I noticed for the first time in this film, which is very cool.
I noticed that in one of the theatrical cuts I saw.
Yeah, that's cool. Armor for the forearms. onto his own arms. Was Viggo Mortensen's idea for Aragorn to take them, both as a tribute to their fallen companion and to constantly remind himself of the promise he had made to Boromir to save Minas Tirith and their people. He wears them throughout the rest of the trilogy and is even buried in them over a century later, showing he never forgot his promise.
Yep. And honestly, heck yes. What a great movie. And also, something I realized with this viewing is like Boromir's last words was speaking to him being like, my king.
Yeah, dude.
Amazing.
And that's what I'm talking about. It's like Boromir is just this guy. Before all of this, he's like literally like the Prince of Gondor.
Mm-hmm.
He's like everybody loves him. He's the best fighter. He always does the right thing. And then he's just put in this situation where he is just humbled, bro. Like all of his ideas are wrong. All of his feelings are getting corrupted. Like everything, he's just laid low. And then he makes that pivotal mistake, trying to steal the ring from Frodo, humiliating himself, which, dude, Sean Bean just kills it. He really doesn't have that much to work with. It's his scene at the council, and then it's this final scene.
One does not simply... Yep.
Kills
Dude, and by the way, that scene in the extended cut is so much cooler than in the theatrical. When I saw Gandalf get up and start doing the black speech, literally in the extended cut, I think Boromir gets up 3 different times. He is persistent.
Yeah.
And that he only gets up once in the theatrical cut.
Yeah.
Like,
there's a great meme.
Down, Boromir.
Yeah.
There's a great meme where, it's like, well, Gimli gets up to destroy it. He's like, well, then let's just destroy it. And then he smashes it, and then it just cuts to Sauron's tower falling, and it's the credits.
If only.
I know, right?
What are we waiting for?
Dude, like that, one of the perfect deaths, dude. He's both, I failed, we're all gonna die, and then Aragorn's like, no, bro, you were brave. You died defending Merry and Pippin. Like, you redeemed yourself. And
you were moving around. Yeah, he was moving around with 2 arrows stuck in him.
I know, and like literally next to his heart. And dude, again, the acting, like he does he can't breathe because his freaking lung has been punctured. It's like, oh, it's so great, dude. And then then the final lines, my freaking friend, my captain, my king. It's like,
I'm getting sad
because it's that epic, bro.
I'm curious. I don't know. I just know a little bit about Nordic mythology, but like he goes and he reaches for his weapon. Is there a reason for that? Do you know? Because like in Nordic mythology, obviously you need to have your weapon in your hand so you can go to Valhalla and everything. But obviously this doesn't work that way. So is it just that he wanted to it was like a sign of honor or something. Maybe I don't know.
I really don't know.
I think that it chalks up to that.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's great too. And then Vigo's performance is like just
amazing
as good too. Or he's
like honestly,
these actors too.
Yeah. And for him specifically, it's like there is nothing else I can see. Like I don't even know if I've seen another movie with him in it. It's just like he is Aragorn, you know?
Hidalgo.
Man, it has been a long time since
You've
I've seen
Hidalgo?
That movie. I think I have.
I haven't.
The Green Book. He also has a good role in the Green Book as well.
Oh,
What
okay.
else is he in?
Since we're talking about actors, real quick, I wanna bring out that Marvel success. I feel like has a lot to do with what they've had. At least 6 Lord of the Rings actors that they've put into Marvel to fill roles. So, I mean, if you're looking for actors, just go back and look through the Lord of the Rings.
Oh man,
I don't know why you keep getting cut out, bro.
Dude, am I getting cut out now?
No. I don't. Dude, I literally don't know.
I don't know.
It makes me feel bad.
I don't know either. This is sucky. Okay, so what I was saying. Is that any better?
Yeah, you're just loud. It's good. No, it's good.
I think you're fine. Go ahead.
Okay, so what I'm saying is, I don't know how much came through.
The only thing we missed is like Marvel. You know, if you're feeling bad, then just go back into the well.
Yeah, if you're looking for actors for your next Marvel movie, go back and watch the Lord of the Rings. Go back and check out the Hobbits and just handpick. Like, okay,
hire Merry and Pippin.
Yeah, there you go.
That'd be awesome. And cool. Hey, if you like something, you know, one of the little franchises called Marvel, maybe you should check out our Marvel Revisited. We did
our extensive Marvel Revisited playlist where we covered 20 something films in a year, or a little more than a year.
Yeah, but
all the way up to
Phase
Spider-Man. No Way Home.
Yeah.
No. Which one is it?
No, it's Far From Home.
Far From Home.
Yes.
Home.
Home Alone.
Before we move on from Aragorn 2, one, he was not originally cast as Aragorn. There was another guy that they cast for Aragorn, and Viggo was kind of like a last minute. And dude, I'm so glad. The guy that they chose, I'm sure would have been fine, but he was just a pretty boy. And I'm glad they got Viggo.
Viggo, I forget. Who did they end up casting?
Can you look that up for me, Wynnston?
Sure.
The original Aragorn.
And I forgot the reason why he... Was there a scheduling conflict?
Yeah, I don't remember. I really don't. But for whatever reason, it is Viggo, and he just brings just the perfect amount of grit and tenderness and manliness and heroicism.
Daniel Day-Lewis.
The role. No, it's not him. They talked about him, but that's not the one they cast.
Strout Townsend? Is that it?
I think that's him. It's a smaller actor.
Strout? And
then on top of that, you know, they talked about how Aragorn put the vambraces on. Another thing, Aragorn insisted on having a prop whetstone added to his costume because, you know, he's a ranger. He's out in the wild. He'd use it to sharpen his blade. And you actually get to see him when they're in Lothlorien. You see Aragorn just for a second, you know, sharpening his sword with that whetstone that he insisted on having. So just a deep understanding of just the character.
Strout Townsend is an Irish actor.
Yeah.
How do you spell that?
Strout Stuart, and then Townsend.
Stuar. Oh, Stewart.
Wow.
I knew Strout was wrong, but
I mixed up the R. I'm sorry.
I'm like, I can't understand. Oh, was he in?
He was in some stuff back when. Late 90s or
late 80s. Queen of the Damned.
Yeah, but see, he's too pretty. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
God damn it. Hate myself sometimes.
Sometimes?
Gentlemen, it is time to guess the Rotten Tomato score.
It's the prices. I mean, the Rotten Tomato score is right. Bro, this is if it's anything lower than 91, I'm gonna be pissed.
I say 93.
I know there's small criticisms, but like it's so good, dude.
Mm,
Oh no, Wynnston, don't do it to me. Do you know?
I don't know.
Okay, good.
I'm thinking.
He's guessing.
I'm thinking.
He's guessing.
I'm thinking not as many people like it as much as us. So I'm gonna go like
it's so good.
87. Though. But you're right. It won Academy Awards as well.
It didn't. I don't think it did actually.
I'm pretty sure it did.
You look it up.
All right, I say 87. Let's see what it is while Nate looks that up. On Rotten Tomatoes, the score is 91. Thank you for not failing the city. Thank you.
Right on the money.
I'll be here all week, baby.
And then where are you going?
And then I'm coming right back.
Due to popular demand, I'm back.
I think it did win. It did win a bunch.
Yeah,
I think it did.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
And hey, we have on here rank song, and I know that was supposed to be like songs in between, but like, come on, dude, the boom, 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 boom. Like, dude, that is freaking iconic.
Boom, boom,
Boom, boom, boom, boom, boom, boom.
Oh yeah, the music is great, but we do get a little tidbit of a song. We get well, no. Before we get the drinking song.
Oh yeah,
Oh, that's right.
No,
so great.
I'd like to put that at the end.
At the,
like
okay,
at the bottom of the
Merry and Pippin's drinking song.
Okay, Merry and Pippin's drinking song will be number 3, and then do we want to rank the orcs song? I guess it's just evil music, but I don't know the exact name.
It's just part of the score.
And then also the song for the Shire. Like, come on.
And then
such iconic.
And then the dun 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 dun.
Dun 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 dun.
So good. Dun
dun dun dun. Dude, it's freaking.
I just realized that kind of fits the Avengers theme.
Yeah,
that
a little bit,
right there. It's still similar.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro. It's so iconic.
What are we doing? Ending songs?
Well, we got to rank those songs first.
This is all you guys, bro. I don't.
Do you want to rank those songs, or is it only that other one you want to rank?
I don't know. Let's do it. May it be by
ranking soundtrack. We should be ranking soundtrack.
Well, this is number 1.
Exactly.
So okay, I guess the other ones are technically in the soundtrack as well. The dwarves cleaning and the Misty Mountains, right? They're part of the soundtrack. So,
I guess.
Who sings the final of the credits song?
It's Enya.
Lady. Oh yeah, that's right.
Some lady.
I don't remember.
Are you?
I didn't even hear it. I'm sorry.
May It Be is awesome. I think it's it might be better than Ed Sheeran for me.
Hey, you're the only one that has a vote here because I didn't hear it.
Well, then it's just me saying, yeah, this is what it's going to be.
That's fine.
Hey, that's fine. That's what Nate's is with CGI, dude.
It's a beautiful song. Like it.
No, it is all the music.
Well, yeah, but this one's just super special.
Okay, so the end song for this one will be number 1, above "Icy Fire" from Ed Sheeran.
I say so.
Okay, yeah, then it is. If you say so, then it is.
Then may it be.
Yes, exactly. But for the other songs, we have number 3. We have Merry and Pippin drinking song.
What's the ending? It's got such a great ending. It's like, just give this hobbit like a drunk or something. It's so great, dude. I love it. We'll look it up. And it doesn't matter. It's great.
Yeah,
I'll look it up. All right, look it up.
But what about the other? What is that? We got the Shire song. We've got the Fellowship song or whatever it is, and then the evil orc song. You know.
Or you want to do like straight up like the theatrical?
Yeah,
music?
the theatrical. Yeah, dude. Come on.
How are you supposed to? How like it? They each have their own special feel to them. But
true.
To me, what makes I think the most iconic would be what the dun 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 dun.
Dun, dun.
But then when evil comes and you hear that dun dun dun
dun dun, dun.
It's just like Star Wars, man. Like, how are you supposed to pick? Like, because
we're gonna have to when we get to Star Wars.
like Vader has the Imperial March, like, and then you have the main theme,
As
and then
as far as movies go, I think the only soundtrack better than this one is Star Wars. It's the only one.
Yeah.
I mean, Indy has great stuff. Batman has great stuff. But I'd still take this over any other stuff.
yeah.
I can agree with that. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Okay, we don't have to rank
and then
those
of course,
if you don't want to.
Halo's above that.
It is
No.
crazy that this is not John Williams.
Honestly,
Is anybody
honestly,
No,
is
it's
anybody else like?
there's vibes
like,
for
whoa.
sure. Like,
No,
from,
I
like,
know, but usually, like, this is a huge blockbuster movie. I wonder if they went to him about it.
I don't think they did too. I think, dude, so this whole thing, there's a producer and they talk about it. It was like his passion project. And he really just had like, he basically made his family and those like Peter Jackson and all the other actors and people. And it's like, it was just very much their vision. They weren't trying to make the most successful movie or the most biggest blockbuster. They were just trying to make the best Tolkien adaptation they could. So that was their goal the entire time.
Great job.
It's funny because they accomplished both.
yeah, yeah.
I agree with that. Okay. Well, yeah. Who end up? Is it Shore? Who did it?
The soundtrack?
Yeah.
Look it up.
And I don't even remember his first name. I just remember Shore.
Yeah, it is. It's Howard Shore.
Howard Shore. Okay.
Cool. All right.
I know some stuff.
Canadian.
Oh.
Character design. Actually, you know what? No. First, let's knock out one of these
many good
magical
character
facts.
Designs.
Another magical fact.
There's a couple that we kind of blew through. When Hobbiton, for example, was made a year before production even began. Like that's commitment. I just love to see that, bro. It's commitment and it's just care and love put into the project. It's like, hey, we know we're gonna make this movie. Let's do this right now while we figure out who's gonna be the director, who we're gonna cast, who's gonna do this, who's gonna do that. It was made a year before production to make it look like it was natural, a lived in place, complete with real vegetable patches, and it shows, dude. The greens department regulated the length of the grass by having sheep eat it. Like that's how into it they were.
That's freaking
and it's
awesome.
And it shows, dude.
Another little fun fact: after the Lord of the Rings, and they decided that they were going to do The Hobbit, they went back and actually rebuilt like a full-on Shire.
Shire.
So it's there, and like it will always be there, which is really cool. Well, no, I mean, wait, yeah. I mean, I've had a couple.
There's earthquakes in New Zealand.
Yeah, well, I've had a couple people go there, and they brought me back a rock, and I don't know where that rock is, and it makes me very sad. I was like, I got a rock from the Shire. It's so cool.
It's great, dude. While we were talking about Quenya and Sindarin earlier, the Elvish language lines spoken in this film are not just quotes from the books. They were derived from J.R.R. Tolkien's own limited dictionary of that language. Dialect coach Andrew Jack used recordings of Tolkien reading his books to guide the actors and actresses' pronunciations. And that is, I'll expound on that fact. Tolkien was a huge lover of just language in general, and song and just the spoken arts, which is why the songs are so prevalent in these films, and why like when they speak these magical words, and that is because the words are what has power. And I don't remember if he said it or if some reviewer, somebody said it, but said that all of these books were made just for an excuse for Tolkien to use these languages, and so he could figure out why these languages were the way they were. Is he wrote all these backstories for the elves, and that is what informed the two splitting of the languages for Sindarin and Quenya and all the other languages. And yeah, it's black speech, and it shows, dude, like that level of detail where it's like every language feels like it has an alphabet, and it feels real. Same with Dwarvish as well. Yeah, it's insane, dude. Like, there's so many different languages. There's Black Speech, there's Sindarin, there's Quenya, there's God, well, I just had the Elvish one. I think it's Guzdoom. It's something like that, but it's a completely separate language as well.
Just figuring out all the languages had to have took years.
Years, yeah.
Yeah, like oh, I'm gonna do that. Like he really you could tell that he enjoyed doing that kind of.
Oh yeah.
Because you're like, okay, it takes years, and then you have to figure out the races and the lineage, and then you get into the story and the characters.
Exactly.
So you're like, this could have been at least a decade kind of thing. Like,
I don't know, but I think it was way longer than that.
well, yeah, that's why I said at least. Like, it's gotta
But
just work.
Yeah, it's great because like he came up with the grammar and the alphabets and just the backstory for these languages. I saw little footage of Tolkien himself, and he's writing Elvish, and he's like, "Yeah, obviously, I'm terrible at like my handwriting is so bad," and he's literally writing it just like it looks in the movies. And it's like, bro, you're the only one that knows how to write this, so why are you saying you have terrible handwriting? And then at the same time, which I'm sure, he was born in the early 1900s. I'm sure this guy had weird things and bad things about him, but it's still really likable because he says like, yeah, I'd never like speak it in public though, like a weirdo like that. Like he says that, like, I didn't make this so people could actually speak it. Like I just made it because I wanted to, and it was fun and it was cool.
That's so cool. It's honestly like one of the, like, when you think about like George Lucas, very like awesome, like he made this incredible world and everything, but he needed a lot of direction. With Tolkien, it seems more of just like somebody who's all like lost in his own head and kind of just like, hey, I want to be creative and I have this passion, I'm just gonna do it. I don't care. Like The Hobbit, he originally wrote that book not for it to be a success. It wasn't like, oh man, like I gotta become a famous writer or anything. Like he just had built this world and wanted to write a simple story, and he wrote The Hobbit. And then after it became like big, he's like, okay, well, I'm gonna make something that I should be in this world. And then he made Lord of the Rings. Like, this is so cool and admirable. Just like he had this passion and he went for it, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
Let's talk about character design now.
Oh, dude, it's hard, dude. Obviously, Aragorn looks super cool. Sauron looks cool. Go ahead.
Balrog.
I was gonna say the Balrog.
Balrog is just
Balrog is on point.
Does anybody? It's just weird seeing a big monster-like thing with a whip. Does that bother anybody else?
Well, that's where the backstory comes in. Like he is a Maiar. Like he is of the same descendancy level as Saruman and Sauron and Gandalf. If anything, it's weird to me that he's so dumb. Like we
he
see
seems
Gandalf.
more of a beast.
Yeah, it seems more beastly, whereas this, in theory, but I don't know. I think it's just one of those things where when Morgoth brought down these Maiar to be, they wanted to, but when he recreated them, because they need to be recreated in a physical form, he just recreated them in this monstrous way, as opposed to, Gandalf and Sauron, they were recreated in a truer self version of themselves.
It's just kind of off-putting for me seeing like this huge monster like with such presence and like power, and even with the flames, and then you're like, and then he has a whip.
He has a sword too, though.
Does he have a sword?
Yeah, dude, he's got a sword in the other hand.
Oh, I never realized that.
Let me look it up.
I don't remember a sword. Definitely remember that whip though.
No, dude, it's clear as day.
You're clear as day.
He makes them appear. Yeah, it's clear as day, dude. Is it clear?
Is it clear?
I'm wondering if it's just like the concept art for the film, where he also has a sword.
Yeah, because I don't remember a sword. I don't remember a sword.
Yeah, I think there's only a whip, dude.
Let me check.
He calls him Flame of Urdur?
No. Flame of Udun. I don't think he calls Balrog. I think he's like summoning something.
Oh, okay.
All right, I'm watching it right now. Okay, so he comes out. He's all on fire. Galvin. Gandalf is yelling at him.
Galvin.
Okay, pulls the whip out. No, okay, was it? No, it's a sword.
Does it turn into a whip?
It turns into a whip. That's what it is. He takes the sword and he goes to smash Gandalf. Gandalf deflects it.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
And then he pulls it out again, and it's a whip this time. It's like, deflect this hoe.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is.
He can morph his weapon?
Yeah, because he's a fire monster, so he can just do whatever he wants. Okay, there we go.
Whatever he want.
It's like, there's no way I imagined the sword. Like, there's no way.
I remember some people, or I remember, like, I watched it when it came out. I have heard of some people that are like, they criticize the Balrog because it's just supposed to be fire and smoke. Like, that's how the description is in Tolkien. And they're like, they think he's too, like, physical. But I'm like, man, I love it. He's so, like, it definitely seems like something out of this world, you know, just like this incredibly ominous presence that's like, you are never going to win. Like,
yeah. Like, this is just so higher than you
exactly.
guys. And dude, they ride the line perfectly because, like, he literally summons from fire. Like, he literally appears from fire. So there's that fire. And then when he's chasing them, he's kind of just smoke and then a head kind of floating in the smoke. And then when they actually fight, that's when he's still at his most physical. But the entire time, it's like fire's coming off of him, smoke is coming off of him. So that is such a lame criticism, in my opinion.
Yeah, it makes it like
the entire time he looks like he's made of fire and smoke.
Yeah, and can you imagine like Gandalf just fighting fire and smoke? It kind of was.
It's not as intimidating.
It doesn't make it as. Yeah. It doesn't make it the same.
Then again, I have seen some concept art that doesn't have like the horns, where it's just like more ambiguous, and I'm like, that's still pretty cool. Yeah. But are we gonna do the Balrog for character design?
Let's see who else is up there. We have Sauron himself. Like,
sure.
Pretty iconic, I think.
And is this the only time that we actually see him in his armor?
I think so.
I'm pretty sure as well.
We have
there might be like another quick cut scene in one of the other movies, but I think so.
The Nazgul on their horses is pretty good.
Oh yeah.
Aragorn looks cool, but he's not as cool as some of the other guys. And then the elves, you know, they look good, but it's the same thing.
I would say the Balrog is the standout
in this movie, yeah, for sure. Because like the Witch King, he gets evolved a little bit, and he looks cooler later.
Yes, definitely, yeah.
So
and if you add the Fell Beast in there, like him on the Fell, oh my gosh, that's so cool.
Yeah. Okay, so character design. Do we want to put him, the Balrog, him obviously, above or under Smaug?
I think he's under Smaug.
Low.
Yeah.
Really?
Nothing gonna beat out Smaug, man.
Dang. Smaug looks perfect, bro. He's like,
dude, I like the Balrog more than Smaug though, dude. Personally.
Sorry.
All right, cool. But is he going above Thorin?
Oh yeah, easy.
Okay.
Thorin looks good, but he's no Balrog.
Yeah. All right, sweet. Making the Balrog number 2.
Thorin wishes he was a Balrog.
Eric, if you give us a magical fact, speaking of the Witch King for half a moment.
Speaking of the Witch King, magical fact!
It is never explicitly mentioned in the movie why only the 9 kings of men were corrupted by the power of their rings through Sauron's one ring, and not the elves or dwarves. It is in the books, though. The elves had created their 3 rings themselves, but did not give them the powers of domination. To expound on this a little bit, Sauron taught Celebrimbor how to make the rings, and he made all the other rings with Celebrimbor. They made them together. But the 3 rings of the elves, Celebrimbor made by himself. That being said, he still made them with the knowledge he received from Sauron. So this next part is not correct. Sauron could not corrupt their wares. He could only see their thoughts. And so when Sauron makes the one ring, the elves don't wear their rings anymore because Sauron can have dominion over them. And then when Sauron is defeated, that is when they start to wear their rings.
Wow, I always wondered that.
And then for the dwarves, they are the only race that were not, well, not the only race, but they're one of the few races that were not directly created by Eru-Ilúvatar. The dwarves were actually made by one of the Valar, specifically the one that Saruman used to work for. He was like, he was so excited for life and so excited for Earth that he didn't want to wait. So he made the dwarves, but he couldn't give them the breath of life. So then eventually Eru-Ilúvatar finds out. And he's like, okay, this is great, but they're not going to exist until the elves and men, the children of, I can't remember, but until they're created. And then after they are given life, then the dwarves were given life. But because they are created different, the dwarf lords were largely immune to the enslaving effects of the Seven Rings, but they did help them to become increasingly wealthy. It did affect them a little bit in where it made them very greedy. Because their rings instilled such an overwhelming and destructive greed in them, the dwarves were brought down anyway.
So they should have just given the ring to Gimli, and he should have taken it to Mount Doom. That's what you're saying, right?
He would have been greedy, bro. He would want to kept it, amassed gold.
It's made of gold.
He would have gotten dragon sickness.
You would have made it into a nose ring.
Not
Speaking
a
of the rings.
single coin.
Speaking of the rings, the three elven ring bearers seen during the prologue are Galadriel, who we all know, Gil-galad, who we have fortunately now been able to see in the Rings of Power, and Círdan. In both the book and the film, Gil-galad dies during the battle against Sauron, which we do see. We don't see his death, but we do see that battle. But he is mentioned several times thereafter in the book. The movie he is only seen once more during the prologue, portrayed by Mark Ferguson as he battled several orcs. But his death scene was deleted and his name never used. Círdan, played by an uncredited Michael Ellsworth, is also never identified. In the books, he was the elf who did a futile attempt to have Isildur throw the One Ring into the what? In the books? Oh, he was the elf who made a futile attempt to have Isildur throw the One Ring into the fire of Mount Doom. This role was given to Lord Elrond in the movie. Ellsworth has another brief role in the movie as the Gondorian archivist when Gandalf is researching the One Ring, and appears again very briefly as Círdan at the end of The Lord of the Rings, also uncredited. Once Gil-galad's right-hand man was Elrond, so once Gil-galad dies, Elrond takes his ring. Elrond has a ring the entire time. We've spoken about this before. This is part of the reason why Rivendell, Imladris, is not corrupted the way several other things are. Galadriel obviously always has her ring the entire time. And then Círdan gives the ring to Gandalf as soon as Gandalf shows up, again, as I mentioned, which is why. And they're all different elements. It's like water, wind, and fire, I think. Gandalf's is fire. I believe Elrond's is water.
I believe so.
Which is, in the books, is another thing. The river horses that take out the Nazgul, in the books, that is actually summoned by Elrond and another super powerful elf whose name I remember, but he's OG. Again, using some of the power of water. Also, the healing powers of water is part of the reason why Elrond is able to heal Frodo, amongst other people. And then I want also to speak about Galadriel a little bit. Go ahead.
Talking about freaking Frodo in that scene, though, like, man, the freaking makeup that they do, they make him look like
rough.
He is decaying, you know?
Like he's like, that guy is dead but alive.
Yep, they do a very good job with it. And I always also it's like, it never was really clear to me how Arwen kept him alive. She's like, oh no, please give him, pass on to him what was given to me or something like that. It's like, wait, are you just like, are you going to die then? You know, so
like her immortality.
Yeah,
I kind of
not exactly.
I
I think
prayer, if anything.
Yeah, it's the magic system has always been very loosey goosey in Tolkien, but she is of insane ancestry. Elrond, Galadriel, so she's definitely a very magical elf, and I think it's literally just her being like, give him some of my life power, my life essence, just to keep him going. Like, it's literally as simple as that. Wanted to talk about Galadriel because a lot of people are criticizing, I think somewhat fairly, the Galadriel in the Rings of Power. But one thing that I think what we do see in the Rings of Power that does translate even to these films is Galadriel's moment of testing when she is tested. Like I can absolutely see her being heavily tested by the Ring of Power, because there's an argument to be made that she is the most powerful being on planet Earth at that time, or in Middle Earth at that moment in time. So if there is anyone that could use the ring, it would be her. And then when we see her backstory in the Rings of Power, it absolutely makes sense. It's like, oh, let me use this ring and get rid of all evil. So I do like that. Like, and I think that is kind of what the showrunners in the Rings of Power are trying to go for. I think they're going a little too hard, because like, even though she does have that, she is like that. She's prideful and she is very powerful, especially when she was younger. I don't think that she'd be as brash as she is in the show, because she's still like 4,000 years old. She's very old.
Not for an elf.
Even for an elf, she's very old. Speaking of elves,
hold on. Let's talk about let's rank the action sequence.
So Weathertop is solid.
Oh, yes.
What about the Mines of Moria?
I was about to say the troll, which even though Frodo was wearing Mithril, I still feel like that spear would have like, maybe it wouldn't have pierced him, but it would have crushed his rib cage.
Yeah, right. Because like, what happened there? He went bah, and then did the spear go bink? Like, because I did not do that. It looked like it still
it just slid off his torso.
I don't know. know.
So it's fine. It's a cool moment.
I'm not hurt. I'm not like, dude. You at least have a bruise. Come on, dude.
No, you at least have broken ribs.
Yeah, right. Somebody punched you really hard.
Dude, it might be that one, dude. It's so good, so dynamic.
Yeah,
because the last one, go ahead.
Everybody versus the troll is really iconic, and like the way they take it out, like Legolas just waiting for his moment for it to look up.
He shoots it in the head like 3 times.
Yeah, I know. Takes it through the throat. Meh. It sounds like a tauntaun.
On the bottom is it?
Bobbit.
Yeah, I think it's that one, because the final fight is good. And the final between Lurtz and Aragorn is really, really cool.
Yeah, but it's not that long.
Yeah, but it's so tiny, you know?
Yeah. And then right when we hear the boom, boom.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, and crap.
And they all get in on the action, you know? Gandalf and Legolas and Gimli and even the hobbits. Only Frodo does nothing.
Man.
Boom. He's using the pans and pots.
You know, I don't think I've ever talked about this, and I feel like I want to talk about this. All right, this is very much a side note, but I was thinking about the Mines of Moria, and like this is it's just a geek out moment of this is how much I love these movies. And I've repeated this 100 times to my wife, and she's like, no. But what I want to do like so bad is like if I ever own like a house or like move my thing, so like I have this property, this is like my home for like the foreseeable future. What I want to do is get a custom made door, and in this door I want it to have inlaid with like silver. It's not going to be real silver, but like it looks like silver, so it's like mithril. And I want to have the door, and it says above it in Elvish, speak friend and enter. And I want it like I don't know how far I can go with it.
And you press the doorbell and it says it.
And you say metal, and then it automatically just unlocks and just, oh dude, come on. Like I want to do something like that for my door, but I at least want to get like the custom made door with the tree and everything. Like that would be
made so by Celebrimbor.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what it's gonna say on the door itself.
Yeah. Made in Celebrimbor.
Made in Celebrimbor.
Made in a Region.
Weird.
I don't think that's accurate either. Speaking of elves, we need to do a retraction. It was stated in a previous magical fact that Legolas does not blink unless like surprised. That is inaccurate. In the scene when they're all standing about to leave Rivendell, and all of them are lined up for their school year picture, he blinks, clear as day. He just boop boop Just normal
Can we
Blake.
bring up another thing with
Okay, hold on.
Legolas?
But hold on. Is this in the extended cut or is this theatrical? Because if it's in the extended cut, no count. No count.
No, I actually have no idea if it's in the extended cut.
Is it just me, or are Legolas's eyes way bluer in The Hobbit?
Yeah. I think he is actually wearing contacts in The Hobbit, which is just like, why?
What? That
They're
doesn't make
adding to it.
This one, they look a lot more natural. I think his natural eyes are brown, but they look so much more natural in this one.
Yeah, they're not as like in your face, like ice blue.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, oh, check out my eye. Oh,
Just had that ready to go.
Yeah, he was prepared for that comment.
Can you give us a fact, Eric?
Magical fact!
Oh my lord!
You really
God
blew that
dang.
one out. Orlando Bloom landed the role of Legolas 2 days before he finished drama school. Role of a lifetime.
Honestly, like you went from like nobody to like people are gonna know you
A-list.
off the street.
I don't even buy A-list, but definitely like. What was that?
who did you say?
Orlando Bloom.
Oh,
Or
okay.
AKA Orlando Broom.
Which you can't tell because he's the worst actor.
Really?
Of everybody, he's definitely the weakest.
I don't.
He's so wooden. I mean, he's still great, but he's
Sure.
very wooden and not fully two-dimensional, but pretty
Well-
two-dimensional.
Yeah.
Also, fun fact: they call him Legolas Greenleaf, and Legolas is just Elvish for Greenleaf. So
Oh,
his
Green-
name is
Mhm.
Greenleaf.
Yeah. Speaking of which, like, there's that one scene, and I chuckled. I chuckled when it's like, Frodo, are you okay? And it's just like, it's like,
That's great.
okay. And I get it. Like,
Not
yes.
really.
I also love the scene
Got
where
better days.
they're going through the pass of Caradhras, and he's just like on top of the snow, like nothing.
Oh, that's so
Everybody
cool.
else is trudging through like
Mhm.
chest high snow, and he's just like.
Just walking on top of it. It's so
Also,
cool.
I never noticed Boromir and Aragorn are holding all the hobbits. Like
Mhm.
Aragorn's got 2 of them, like a baby, and then Boromir has the other 2, and they're just like huddled on him like babies.
Yep. Okay. So the action scene that we are going with, I just want to double check, is the Mines of Moria and
Tomb of
Oh, yeah.
Balin.
Balin.
Mm-hmm. So right now we have number 1, Desolation of Smog River fight. Does that go above it?
No,
What? I totally think that goes above it.
not
It's
as
just-
cool, bro.
Fire, man. It's just fire.
No. The river fight in Desolation of Smog.
Oh, the river fight. No, I don't think
dude, because everybody gets
so cool.
it is cool, but like everybody gets such cool moments in Balin's tomb. Like even the hobbits, they jump on the back of the freaking troll and are freaking shanking him.
Mm.
And they get their rocks going. It's just the build up to it, it's then they bust through. It's just great, dude.
Okay, so are you saying it does go above it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Number
that's what I
one.
was saying too. Okay, yeah.
Moria,
Okay.
number 1.
Moria's number 1. We all are on the same page. I misunderstood.
okay.
Sweet.
I wasn't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I voted.
If you give us the last one, Eric, the last.
The last one?
Magical fact.
Oh, the last magical fact.
Winston, if you could do the honors.
Drum roll, please.
Speaking of battles and fight scenes.
Body count total for this movie.
Wait, hold up. What's your guess, Eric?
Oh, body count. Yep.
In the whole movie?
Mhm,
Mm-hmm.
mhm.
I wonder if that includes the prequel. Like the
I think it
prologue.
does. Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
He's flabbergasted.
600.
Okay, not so many, no tanto.
Not that many.
Okay, let me.
Think about it. Go through every scene, count them up.
Go, yeah, just real
Good,
quick.
good and bad people dying.
All right, let's go 72.
Okay, that's
That's
not
a
a
lot
bad guess. It's
closer.
not a bad guess. Total body count is
912.
118. That's how many people die in this movie.
Wow.
Bloodbath, man. Bloodbath.
Not compared to the other movies.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
No.
true. Yeah. Okay. Eric, it is your time. Where do you rank Fellowship of the Ring in Lord of the Rings?
Number 1, my lord.
Number 1. Nate, where do you rank Lord of the Rings? I mean,
Number 1.
Fellowship. Number 1. I concur. This has to be number 1, making it the unanimous number 1. We have number 1, Fellowship. Number 2, Battle of the Five Armies. 3, Desolation of Smaug. And number 4, Unexpected Journey. Well, if that wasn't unexpected, I don't know what is. Nate, take it away.
It's your time.
If you know anybody who has ever cut grass, perhaps at night,
Smoked grass.
I wonder how many people actually have cut grass at night. I feel like it's
I
more
have.
than you would expect.
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Much
That's
like
how
Sam,
that's how I lost my foot.
much like Samwise does when Gandalf pops him in the face with his staff.
Dropping no eats.
Dropping no leaves. I love that.
So great, dude. Give this video a like. Please subscribe. You know, we talk about nerdy stuff. We talk about Marvel. We talk about Batman at some point. We talk about Lord of the Rings. We talk about everything Star Wars. So please, if you enjoy this type of content, 3 friends just talking about the movies and stories they like the best, please hit that subscribe button. Please give us a like if you enjoyed the film.
And leave a
And
comment.
this is the place for you. This is the place for you. Yeah, any requests.
Mm-hmm.
If we like it, we'll do it. If we don't, we'll completely ignore you. Please, please.
And
request.
honestly, if you're at this point, you've already listened to almost a 2-hour long podcast about us just rambling about Fellowship.
Hey,
and if you like that, you should probably just subscribe, because we do this on a regular basis and we love to do it.
Yeah.
So
once a week, once every week and a half, something like that.
yeah.
We're gonna do it forever. We're gonna do it forever.
Till we're like balling. Till we're balling.
Oh,
Dead in a tomb, murdered by goblins.
They are
And
coming.
orcs.
They're coming. That was our revisitation for Fellowship of the Ring. But Eric, what is the next movie that we are going to be revisiting?
you're gonna have to cut this out before and add the dun 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 dun. Okay. Sorry to make this harder on you.
Next, on The Lord of the Rings Revisited. The Lord of the Rings. The Two Towers. No!
I come back to you now, at the turn of the tide.
Oh, yes. Thank you. You blew out.
We didn't hear a
Yeah.
single thing you said.
No.
You want me to
No. We heard that. We
No,
didn't
we
hear
heard the
anything you
good
said
part.
after that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can't win. I can't.
Yeah,
I just
I'm sorry. I feel bad for you. But thank you.
before you close, if any of you subscribers out there feel for me and are tired of not hearing half of it, leave a comment. I mean, you can ask me for my address. I will take cash money so I can buy myself a new mic. Whatever.
We will not give you his address. We will give you somebody who we don't like's address, and then
Yes.
take it.
Yeah.
We'll give you a PO box so we still get the money, and then
Now I'll give you like my job's address. I'm like, oh,
There you
it's
go.
I don't know why it ended up there.
some warehouse.
You-
But thank you for watching. Of course.
By the way, it cut out while you were saying that, Eric.
Yeah, that's why we laughed. We cracked up because its cord is perfect. It's perfect.
Was
Well,
it better with the iPad still?
I think so.
hey,
This is
guys.
crap.
No, it picks you up really clearly. It's just for some reason every now and then it'll just drop you. Without you'll sound clear and then it'll just drop and we can't hear you. And then it'll
This
come
is
back
the
in.
exact same thing, and it's worse.
I don't know. I don't know.
Like I have to be like right here the whole time.
I know, bro. And you have to be like at the same level of volume.
And I can't like raise my voice because then I blow out.
Or lower it because then it ignores you.
Yep,
I know,
yep.
dude. I don't know what it is.
Well, we have to wrap up. Thank you all for watching.
Let us know if you guys want a video of Eric smashing his mic with a bat
Oh,
and
that would
setting
be
it on fire.
awesome. That would be awesome.
If you send money, I'll do it.
Have a magical day. Until next time. Peace out.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye now.